The world is packed with amazing destinations, but timing is everything. Each place has a sweet spot where the weather is perfect, crowds are smaller, and hotel prices drop. In this video, I'll take you through the calendar, showing you the best places to visit each month for the ideal experience, plus how to save money while doing it. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, this is the time of year when you need some sun. And the good news, January and February have some of the best travel sweet spots for perfect weather and smaller crowds if you know where to go. In the Caribbean and Central America, the absolute busiest time of year is from the weekend before Christmas through the first weekend of January. So if you can hold off just a little bit longer, you'll get perfect weather, way fewer crowds, and much better prices. So do yourself a favor and wait until the second week in January or any time in February to get perfect weather and smaller crowds in the Caribbean as well as hotspots in Central America, including Belize, Costa Rica, and Panama. These places are all packed and expensive over the Christmas break, and then they fill up again starting in early March when so many people go on spring break, so January and February are definitely the big sweet spot. Let me show you what I mean. This highly rated all-inclusive resort in Cancun costs $5,144 for Christmas week, but just 2 weeks later it drops to $3,395. And if you go a week earlier in mid-December, it's almost half the price at $2,810. So waiting just a little can save you thousands. For perfect January and February getaways, Cancun and Punta Cana are the top choices for gorgeous beaches and incredible value on all-inclusive resorts. If you want a mix of vibrant city life and tropical beaches, check out San Juan, Puerto Rico, where you get the best of both worlds. And if you're in the western half of the US or Canada, then Puerto Vallarta and Cabo are faster and cheaper to reach, and they also have similar perfect weather in this period. If you're looking for warm weather and some adventure activities and hopefully some good views of a volcano, then head to Costa Rica. Most of the better resort areas are on the Pacific coast, but there are some options on the Caribbean coast as well. On the other side of the world, January and February are also the absolute best months to visit Southeast Asia. This region is hot all year, but this is the coolest and driest season, meaning every day is basically perfect. For first-timers, Bangkok is the ideal starting point. It's exotic, energetic, and surprisingly easy to navigate with cheap but excellent hotels and transportation. If you want beaches, Phuket is the easiest island to reach with its own international airport. Koh Samui is a great, slightly more relaxed alternative, and if you're a fan of The White Lotus Season 3, you might feel right at home. And if you have at least 2 weeks, Vietnam is a must. This country is fascinating, affordable, and packed with beaches, cultural landmarks, and incredible food. Traveling from north to south or vice versa gives you a full experience without breaking the bank. For something completely different, February is also the best month for an Eastern African safari in Kenya, Tanzania, or Uganda. You'll get smaller crowds, pleasant daytime temperatures, and you'll still be ahead of the big rainy season. And if you're thinking about South America, mid-February through March is the golden window for Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and Peru. It's the end of the summer in the Southern Hemisphere, so the crowds die down, but the weather is still amazing. Rio de Janeiro is one of the most visually stunning cities on Earth, and right now it's surprisingly cheap. Just keep in mind that safety is something to consider there. Buenos Aires is another fantastic pick, and Argentina as a whole is shockingly affordable right now, with waterfalls, wine regions, and mountain towns that feel like hidden gems. Late March through April is the absolute best time to visit Japan and South Korea. Why? Because summer here can be brutally hot and humid, not to mention typhoon season. But in mid-spring, you get perfect temperatures, beautiful scenery, and reasonable crowds. If you've ever wanted to see Japan's famous cherry blossoms, or explore Seoul without sweating through your clothes, this is your window. April and May are two of the best months to visit Southern Europe. The weather, perfectly warm and sunny. The crowds, way smaller than summer, and the prices, much easier on your wallet. If you want to experience iconic places without the heat and chaos, this is the time to go. Spain, Portugal, southern France, Italy, and Greece are all fantastic in April and May. It's not quite beach weather yet, but it's warm enough for sightseeing, outdoor dining, and strolling through charming old towns without sweating through your shirt. Lisbon continues to fly under the radar, and it actually has some of the best weather of any European capital, especially in spring. If you want mild temperatures, great food, and lower prices, put it on your list. Barcelona is pushing its limits with tourism these days, and summer can be downright overwhelming. But in April and May, the weather is perfect, the crowds are reasonable, and hotels are way more affordable. Italy's big three, Rome, Florence, and Venice, are also ideal in spring. You'll get warm days, thinner crowds, and still be ahead of the massive summer rush. Athens and even Istanbul shine in these months, and if you want to visit the Greek islands without the insane summer crowds, this is your window. Santorini and Crete are stunning in spring, and you won't have to fight for a sunset spot. If you're looking for something a little different, North Africa is also perfect in these months. Morocco is an amazing first introduction to Africa. It's safe, vibrant, and full of culture. Marrakesh is the most famous city for tourists, and Fez is a fantastic alternative, but skip Casablanca unless you're just flying in. April and May are also ideal for Egypt. Exploring Cairo and the Nile Valley is an unforgettable experience, but it's even better if you know how to navigate the hustlers and touts you'll inevitably meet. 2 more places to keep in mind for spring travel: Hawaii and the U.S. national parks in Utah and Arizona. Summer brings crazy crowds and scorching heat, so April and May give you that perfect balance. The Grand Canyon is the obvious pick, but Zion and Bryce Canyon are also incredible with warm, sunny days and way fewer tourists. By the way, this is Roger from priceoftravel.com, and I'd love it if you would sign up for our weekly travel deals newsletter. If you do, we'll give you our new and free ebook listing all of the destinations around the world from cheapest to most expensive. Go to priceoftravel.com/ebook or scan this QR code to go directly there to sign up. May and June are hands down the best months to visit Central and Western Europe. The weather, perfectly warm and sunny. The crowds, way more manageable than in summer, and if you go now, you'll avoid the absolute chaos of July and August. Here's something most people don't realize. Over 80% of tourists exploring Europe are coming from somewhere else in Europe. And the way vacations work here makes a huge difference in when you should visit. In Northern Europe, which is basically Germany and above, most people get July off, so they flood the big cities and head south. Meanwhile, Southern Europeans in France and below get August off, and when that happens, they mostly escape to beaches, mountains, and small towns. So what does that mean for you? If you want to visit Europe's iconic cities without the madness, May and June are the sweet spot. The weather is fantastic, hotel prices are lower, and you won't have to fight through crowds just to see the Mona Lisa for 5 seconds. Some of the best choices in May and June are London and Paris, and those probably don't need much of an introduction. If you have 2 full weeks though, adding Edinburgh and Amsterdam makes for an incredible trip. In Germany, Berlin and Munich are must-visits, and if you want to extend your trip, Vienna and Salzburg in Austria are absolute gems. And then there's Switzerland, arguably the most stunning part of Europe, if not the entire world. May and June are perfect for visiting Interlaken, for jaw-dropping alpine scenery, and Lucerne, which is one of the most photogenic towns on Earth. If you're looking for even more options, or if you've already hit the big-name cities, Prague is an amazing choice, but trust me, avoid it in July and August unless you love shoulder-to-shoulder crowds. Budapest is another underrated gem. It doesn't get quite as crowded, and for what it offers, it's shockingly cheap. And then there's Krakow, Poland, a super interesting, beautifully preserved city that's also incredibly affordable. July and August, great weather in parts of Europe, but absolute chaos in most major cities. If you're looking for warm temperatures without the shoulder-to-shoulder crowds, this is the time to head north. Unlike most places I've mentioned so far, July and August are peak season in Northern Europe, but in this case that's actually a good thing. These are the only reliably warm months up here, and the summer crowds are much more manageable than in Paris, Rome, or Barcelona. Copenhagen and Stockholm have a lot in common. They're flat, walkable, and absolutely stunning in summer. Everyone speaks fluent English, half the signs are in English, and the overall vibe is low stress and welcoming. And if you've never experienced a sunset near midnight, early July in Scandinavia is pure magic. That extended golden hour makes everything look even more beautiful, and it's one of those things you'll never forget. If you're more into breathtaking landscapes than city life, Bergen, Norway is where you want to be. It's the gateway to the Norwegian fjords, and you'll find incredible boat tours and scenic rail trips leaving from here every day. Skip Oslo, by the way. It's fine, but it's not a must-see. And if you're considering Helsinki, I'd skip that too unless you have a specific reason to go. For truly otherworldly scenery, Iceland is unbeatable in summer. Even in July, it's still chilly, but this is as warm as it gets, so it's the best time to visit. Reykjavik is nice, but don't spend too much time there. The real magic of Iceland is outside the city. If you can, rent a car and spend a week driving the ring road around the entire island. Most tourists only see the south, but if you do the full loop, you'll get stunning volcanic landscapes and peaceful solitude even in peak season. It's no surprise that July and August are also the best months to visit Alaska and the Canadian Rockies. This is peak season, but unlike Europe, you won't be battling overwhelming crowds. Plus, if you're trying to escape the summer heat, this is one of the best places to do it. And if you're thinking about Alaska, here's something to keep in mind. For most people, an Alaskan cruise is hands down the best way to visit. Why? Because Alaska's most stunning scenery is only accessible by water, and traveling overland can be slow or even impossible. A cruise lets you see the glaciers, fjords, and remote coastal towns without the hassle of navigating that rugged terrain yourself. If an African safari is on your bucket list, August and September are the perfect time, but this time we're talking about southern Africa. Countries like South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe are in late winter during these months, which means dry conditions and prime wildlife viewing. August can still be busy, but September is the real sweet spot. You get the same incredible game drives, but with fewer crowds and even better conditions for spotting animals gathering around the watering holes. July through September are the best months to visit Bali, Indonesia, right in the middle of the dry season. Bali is absolutely stunning, but since it sits just south of the equator, it's hot year-round. The key, visiting when it's less humid, can make a huge difference in how comfortable and enjoyable your trip is. September and October offer cooler temperatures in the northern hemisphere, but don't assume everything is smooth sailing. While many destinations near the tropics are still dealing with an aggressive rainy season from July to November, it can make finding ideal spots a bit tricky. Here's the good news. Southern and Central Europe are perfect during these months. The weather is still pleasantly mild and rainfall is rarely an issue. This is another sweet spot for visiting Europe's best cities, especially since crowds and hotel prices start to drop in late August. Cities like London, Paris, Berlin, and Prague are excellent choices in September and October. Italy and Spain are also fantastic, and you can easily extend your trip through November as the weather stays mild and comfortable. Northern Africa is another hidden gem during this time. Egypt and Morocco are both beautiful, less crowded, and pleasant in these months without worrying about the torrential rains and flooding that can make other places a headache. The good news, the best spots in South America don't have the troublesome rainy seasons that plague other parts of the world. October and November are the early spring months in the southern hemisphere, meaning mild temperatures, smaller crowds, and lower prices. Basically the perfect conditions for travel. And if you're craving a little beach time, Rio de Janeiro and the rest of Brazil are great choices in these months. The weather is warm and sunny, but you won't have to worry about the rainy season kicking in until December. If you're not in the mood for Europe or South America and you're craving some beach time, November and December offer some fantastic options, and the best part, they can be surprisingly cheap. The hurricane season officially ends in late November, but don't worry, big storms are extremely rare during these months, and by December you're in the clear. It's actually a great time to visit many tropical destinations. If you're feeling uneasy about the potential for storms, consider the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. These islands sit just off the northern coast of South America and are outside of the hurricane belt, making them a safe bet year-round even during peak season. In early November, places like Cancun, Jamaica, and the Dominican Republic may still see some occasional rainfall, but with incredible resort deals available, it's a trade-off worth considering. The later you go, especially as we approach the weekend before Christmas, the weather improves and prices are still amazingly low. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I have a whole series of videos with destination suggestions for different months of the year, so if you want even more ideas, then please have a look at this playlist. And as always, please like and subscribe for more videos about how much things cost around the world.